Hello and welcome back to Phase 3. So Phase 3 is about clarifying expectations. Ask yourself the questions: what do you want the students to know? What do you know about what they already can do? How many times a day do we teachers not hear, what are we going to do today? This means that the activity is in the focus, not the learning or understanding of something. One explanation for why the question is often asked is that the students may more often hear expectations about what is to be done, not what is to be understood or learned. It is a little harder to think about what the students need to understand to learn a learning criteria compared to what students need to do. As I said, this phase is about creating clear expectations and how we do it in a natural and a simple way. So, clear expectations. An important part of the explicit teaching is the clarity regarding expectations and requirements. In order to be explicit, you as a teacher must therefore carefully think through what you expect from your students. Are your expectations realistic? Are the requirements too low or too high? Are there details you haven't thought of? It is not enough to write down what the grading criteria are on the whiteboard. Always think differentiation, even in this phase. Clarify what is expected in a differentiated way. So here are some tips and questions you can think of when you plan your expectations. By asking yourself these control questions, you can easily differentiate your expectations. Number 1. Is it possible for everyone to do what I plan to do with the class? If I want the students to read a text, I need to think about how many pages the text is on and how long it might take to read each page. For example, the text is 10 pages long and I expect all the students to read the text during the lesson. Some students can read it in 15 minutes and others need more time. What is a realistic expectation here? Number 2, level. Is it possible for all students to stay at the same level I want them to? If my text I give the students, say it is 10 pages and contains difficult words and a language that requires a high level of understanding, then I need to have expectations at a realistic level. Number 3, scope. Is it possible for everyone to both learn, train, and demonstrate knowledge at the level I have in mind? So, for example, the text is 10 pages long and I have not thought through the level. Do the students have to read the entire text? Or I need to ask myself, is there another text the students can read with the same topic? Say that the fast readers are reading the text in 5 minutes. Is it another text? Have these questions in mind. Number 4 is method. So the questions you're going to ask yourself here is: how should the students study the text? On paper, digital, by listening? Shall we read aloud in the group? Are there pictures to support the understanding? How do you differentiate the expectations here? And the last one, number 5. Interest. Is it possible to use the students' interest to promote learning? What in the text can appeal the students' interest? How can I create curiosity? By asking yourself these control questions, you can easily differentiate your expectations. Okay, now this is the best part. Act activities to clarify expectations. Here are some tips on how you can organize activities to clarify expectations. My favorite one is, I say my favorite one for like every single phase here, but the ladder is the best one. In Swedish we say stegen. Okay, so the ladder is a backward planning to clarify expectations at different stages of the work. So draw a ladder on the board, write the goal on the highest step. Tell the students that a person, for example, Maria, has reached the goal. Then ask the students, what was the last thing Maria did before she arrived at the goal? The students can think for themselves, tell a friend, and then as a whole group. Then write their answers on the whiteboard on the top step. Ask again, what did Maria do before that? Students think again by themselves, in pairs, then in whole groups. Then write their suggestions on the next top step. Continue like this until all the steps are filled in how Maria arrived at her goal. Differentiate by having students make their own ladders with their own goals and how they want to get to the goal. Differentiate further for those students who can't make their own ladder and have them to do it in pairs. If you want to, you can differentiate again if needed. Print finished pictures on a ladder. So fun. So the next tips for you is which one stands out. This activity is about making quality visible. So show 4 examples of how a work should look when it is finished. It can be a text, an image of art, or a mathematical solution. Divide the students into small groups. Ask the students to look closely at the work and talk about which work stands out. Differentiate by asking the students to write down keywords that justify their decision. The aim is for students to understand what distinguishes these works at different levels. The next one is the circle model. So start by showing what the finished work should look like, for example, an argumentative text. Write on the whiteboard. Keywords. Go through the keywords carefully with the students and make sure everyone gets them. Then write an argumentative text together with the class. Afterwards, the students can do this in small groups or individually. Let the students show each other how the result turned out. Then task becomes explicit because the students get to see and try the process before they start working by themselves. In this way, the expectations become clear. A short summary about phase 3, clarify expectations. Explicit instructions become differentiating because they offer multiple ways of understanding what to do, what is required, and why. Several of the examples in this chapter have visual structures, such as the ladder. Its purpose is to show in several ways what is required, which differentiates the method of understanding. Issue visual templates, stairs and ladders to differentiate pace, level, and method. All this can be used as a basis for discussion, self-assessments, and peer response. When we teachers make it clear to ourselves what expectations we have of the students' work, the expectations become clearer for the students as well.